And on that note, we'd like to welcome our final speaker in this presidential lecture series, His Excellency Prime Minister Rala Xanana Gusmão.
Please, I'm going to ask these gentlemen, can I say, they said everything already. Okay, I will try. I will repeat questions from all of you. Do you allow me? This is what we say friendship. It is with gratitude, respect and hope that I join in the celebration of 25th anniversary of the deployment of INTERFET to Timor-Leste. Today is a celebration of the past and, as many said before me, a time for reflection. INTERFET's arrival was a moment in history that shaped our future and continues to inspire global peacekeeping efforts. For our young people here today, those not even born in 1999, when these historic events occurred, I hope you, young people, gain an understanding and appreciation of the bravery of the Timorese people. Your fathers and mothers and your grandfathers and grandmothers, and of the commitment of our international friends who helped secure our independence. INTERFET was welcomed in Timor-Leste with tears of relief. Decades of resistance in our homeland, persistent diplomacy at the United Nations, and an economic crisis in Indonesia culminated in our vote for independence. Tragically, the result of exercising our right for self-determination for independence was met with violence. The United Nations sent a multinational force in response to the deteriorating humanitarian and security situation. The International Force East Timor, known as INTERFET. The success of INTERFET shows what can be achieved when we put international peace, stability, and human rights ahead of political interest. INTERFET's success is a potent reminder of the need for collective action in the face of suffering and injustice. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our nation, once an improbable dream, is now a vibrant, democratic and independent country path or road to independence was long and fraught. Everybody knows that the young people behind there, we were a colony of Portugal for 5 centuries. It was not until April 1974 when the regime in Portugal was overthrown in a peaceful coup known as the Carnation Revolution, as the Minister already reminded us, that a pathway to freedom opened to us, for us. The new government began a process of decolonization, raising the prospect of Portuguese Timor becoming independent. On 28 November 1975, we declared our independence. 9 days later, Indonesia invaded. For the next 24 years, we resisted. We waged a relentless struggle for independence. More than 200,000 of our people lost their lives, and countless more were displaced. Despite the brutality of occupation and war, our people showed incredible dignity and resilience. We stood strong and united in the face of terror and made remarkable sacrifices as we faced great adversity and deprivation. Despite the overwhelming odds, our people never lost hope that one day we would be free. Sorry for my English, and I have to thank the Indonesian army for capturing me, because already in the prison I could learn English. Yeah. We understood that we could not win this battle by relying on the military front alone. Our guerrilla army was small and not equipped with modern and sophisticated weapons and ammunition. Our occupier was one of the most populous countries in the world, supported by the West with weapons, ammunition, tanks, aircraft, and military training. The Timorese guerrilla fighters did not receive any military help from outside. And thinking how to solve the problem, in '83, the military commander here asked to see me, and went to the jungle, and we met. Their intention was to persuade us to surrender, and in exchange, many of us will be generals. But instead of giving time to him to talk, days before, we had a meeting, and I presented to him, handed to him, our proposal for peaceful solution, appealing to the United Nations, to Portugal, to Indonesia, to sit down, talk together, and ask our people through referendum. The letter, the document was sent to Suharto before 1 month. We received a message: or you surrender, you, the guerrilla, or we will exterminate you. It was in 1983. It was because we didn't have anything. We didn't have any military support. We had to survive by killing the Indonesian military and capturing their weapons and their munitions. But we were supported by clandestine and diplomatic campaigns. The clandestine front kept the flame of independence alive. It was more than just a support network. Members of the clandestine front passed critical information about Indonesian military activities and organized resources for the resistance. Women played a key role, acting as couriers, intelligence gatherers, leaders and protectors of our national identity. Young activities, particularly students at the time, took the lead in mobilizing internationally, organizing protests and building global awareness of our plight. Together, they exposed the realities of the occupation to the world, revealing the atrocities we endured. More than one reminded us about the massacre of Santa Cruz. The students, the young Timorese, they took our campaign to Indonesia. Many Indonesians faced the same oppression as us. They were not our enemy. We had a common enemy, and that was the military dictatorship. We built strong links of solidarity with the pro-democracy movement inside Indonesia. We organized demonstrations to support our common cause. The clandestine front was instrumental in uniting the international community in support of our independence. And for referendum, they came back to the country. They went around to mobilize the people, and it succeeded. The diplomatic campaign was equally important. It was led by His Excellency, the President of the Republic, Dr. José Ramos Horta, EU. Who traveled the world and pounded the corridors of the United Nations in New York. The diplomatic campaign constantly reminded the world of the struggle of the Timorese people. It kept the fate of Timor-Leste on the United Nations agenda, not forgetting all the efforts from many other countries, like from Portugal, from others, and worked with international solidarity networks to keep Timor-Leste in the news. We don't forget also the Australian parliamentarians that organized a strong solidarity movement. They all, the last one was 3 years ago, passed away. We are very, very thankful. Our clandestine front, I have to say, working together with Max Stoll and show to the world what happened in reality in Timor-Leste. But despite the shocking images that emerged from the massacre of Santa Cruz and the matter being raised at the United Nations and in other international forums, it was another 8 years before the tide turned. when Indonesia was weakened by the Asian financial crisis in 1997, followed by collapse of President Suharto's dictatorship, the possibility of a referendum for our independence came into view. 1983, we appealed for referendum. We appealed to the United Nations to promote dialogue between Indonesia and Portugal, and of course with the international community. We had to wait for 16 years. It only reveals the resilience of our people. Also, some of the panelists talk about 30 of August, talk about the percentage of the voters that made in favor of independence. The youth turnout and the results showed the world the unparalleled bravery and determination of the Timorese people. We knew the risks involved, the potential repercussions, but we chose to exercise our right to self-determination. The courage of our people was rooted in the belief that one day our nation would stand free and independent. And as history has recorded, what followed was a brutal and systematic campaign of violence. Our faith in humanity was tested, but we remained resilient. As the President also already mentioned, despite that violence might erupt, not me alone, I asked him to instruct our armed forces voluntarily to remain in the cantonments. That is why, Mr. President, not only say Xanana Xanana, remember Ramos Ota. Yes, it was to avoid that the militia on the other side could say it is a civil war. Just to not allow the Timorese to fight each other and make difficult to INTERFET to come. Yes, our people who had already suffered so much were brutally murdered, their homes burned to the ground, hospitals, schools, bridges, water and electricity systems were destroyed. The world was outraged. Finally, the international community responded. I cannot say many things because everybody count already the process. With the Indonesian approval on 15 September, Tamarat, you described it already, all the process. It was after that establishment of a multinational force to restore peace and stability. The result was the formation of INTERFET. It was a profound moment when you arrived in Timor. It was a profound moment when we knew that our regional neighbors including Australia, New Zealand, Thailand, Philippines, played leading roles in this mission, which marked a turning point in our fight for freedom. I want to pay particular tribute to the leadership of Major General Peter Cosgrove, who led INTERFET with humility, wisdom, and a deep commitment to our people. His ability to listen, to work collaboratively with the Timorese and guide the mission was instrumental to its success. I'm honored to call you friend, and it is heartening to see you here again, my dear friend. When INTERFET arrived, our country was in ruins. 70% of our infrastructure had been destroyed, homes abandoned, and countless lives shattered. The arrival of INTERFET was a beacon of hope. The relief and joy our people felt when INTERFET arrived was immeasurable. INTERFET's contribution to helping put an end to the violence in our country is remembered with deep gratitude by all Timorese. But, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate INTERFET's arrival in Timor-Leste 25 years ago, we must not forget the invaluable role played by our own liberation force, FALINTIL. The discipline of our brave soldiers, who obeyed my order to hold their positions during the aftermath of the referendum, was extraordinary. They fought for our freedom long before INTERFET arrived, and many of them paid the ultimate price in the quest for independence. The sacrifices of FALINTIL and their unwavering commitment to our cause embody the spirit of our nation. Many of our fighters gave their lives for our freedom, and those who survived faced the challenge of rebuilding their lives in a country ravaged by war. Many members of FALINTIL who fought for our freedom did not live to see the peaceful and democratic Timor-Leste that exists today. Their stories and their sacrifices must never be forgotten. Our people are deeply committed to preserving these memories. Similarly, we honor and respect the brave members of INTERFET who delivered our freedom. In Ekusi, there is a child named INTERFET as a tribute to the forces that helped liberate us. We now have a museum dedicated to honoring the soldiers and international friends who stood with us in our darkest hour. I hope you all have the opportunity to visit the Bairru-Pité Fort Veterans Museum, which documents the resilience of our people and the solidarity of our friends at this critical time. Excellencies, As we stand here today, commemorating the role of INTERFET in our history, we must also remember that the struggle for freedom and peace continues in other parts of the world, as Saint Paulo Rangel. Oh, Mr., not Saint. I thought Mr. Paulo Rangel, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Portugal, reminded us. Countries such as Western Sahara are still denied the right for self-determination. I was moved from the prison to home arrest, house arrest. In June, Ian Martin came to me and said, Xanana, we have to delay. Why? Because there is violence in Timor-Leste. Violence by whom? By militias and Indonesian military. No, we don't want. We have to do. But why you have to do? It is the rules of the United Nations. If in a process like this, there is violence, we have to stop, delay until the situation can be better. And I told him, Mister, when we heard about the referendum in Western Sahara, I told all the guerrillas, after them we will be. That is why we don't accept. But it is our rules, United Nations rules. Rules because they are dying, people are dying. How many? More than 1,000. Oh, Mr. Ian Martin, very small. What? It's very small. For 24 years, died more than 200,000 already. That's why 1,000, 2,000, very small. We don't accept. And I asked him, and he commented to Secretary General Kofi Annan, and I was very happy because if not, we are still waiting. Because Sarah is still waiting. This is why, in this occasion, I would like to continue to remind the international community. International law is for everybody. International law cannot be used for one country and then another country doesn't deserve the bless of the international law. As St. Paul's, Mr. Minister said, there are conflicts raised in Sudan, in Ukraine, in Gaza, Afghanistan, and many other regions. It is our duty to support these people in the right for peace, justice, and dignity. As we reflect on INTERFET's success, we must recognize that its legacy extends far beyond Timor-Leste. INTERFET is a model for peacekeeping operations, must be a model for peacekeeping operations around the world. Its success was no accident. It was the result of a strong political commitment, the courage to correct past mistakes, close cooperations with local communities, and the unified support of the international community. In any peacekeeping effort, political will is paramount. The international community must be prepared to act swiftly and decisively, as it did in Timor-Leste, to prevent further loss of life and destruction. INTERFET success was made possible by the unified support of the global community. Nations from around the world came together, setting aside political differences to uphold human dignity and international law. In Sahara, we celebrate 25 years of referendum. Sahara, forgotten, and there is Mirso there. Here was Unamet. Now, the Mirso continue to be there. Another problem, we celebrate the 25 years of the arrival of INTERFET for a few months in Central African Republic. The peacekeeping force is there almost already 3 decades. Look at this. This is an example. An example of cooperation, an example of approach, of mutual understanding. This celebration is also a lesson and an appeal to the international community. This spirit of solidarity is essential to the success of any peacekeeping mission. Equally important is the willingness to engage with and listen to the local population. INTERFET, under the leadership of Sir, I hate English because of this. We write E, and instead of saying Sir, we say Sar. Sir Peter Cosgrove worked closely with our communities, respecting their needs, the community's needs and aspirations. This collaboration ensured that peacekeeping efforts were effective and sustainable. The lessons of INTERFET are more relevant than ever in this troubled world. The international community must remain steadfast in its commitment to peace, to justice, and the protection of human rights. Sometimes we cry. 24 years, nothing, forgotten. And now, if we turn on the television, Ukraine, oh, people dying, Gaza, people dying. But I went to Switzerland, to Zurich, no? Zurich. It was Ukraine Peace Summit. We came back very... It was not to talk about peace, it was to talk about how much you need, how many weapons you need, more money. It is for war. Oh my goodness, that is why. This celebration, it is good, because we can tell the world, please, don't measure if your weapons are bigger or better than the other of the enemy. Look at the suffering of the kids, of the women, of the destruction of a country. This is why this celebration is not to say thank you, no. It is a lesson. In the United Nations General Assembly, we will talk about this lesson. We will remind the United Nations about UNMIRSO 30 years ago, about Central African Republic, when South Sudan was independent after us. It was also peacekeeping force there. But they could not avoid this people killing each other, destroying everything after independence. That is why we need a reform in the United Nations. Here, friends from INTERFET, when I say INTERFET, not Australia, the countries that came and helped us, yes, a better approach, a better understanding with the reality of the country, we will build peace. That is why when you arrived, it was a promise to our future. Timor-Leste and INTERFET are proof that when the world acts with courage and compassion, peace will prevail. If not, we open CNN, we open BBC, we open, instead of in Zurich, instead of demanding Putin to talk with Zelensky on the same table to discuss, but to stop the war, ceasefire, no. You need more, yes, we will give to you more money, more weapons, more, for the destruction of the people. This is what they don't feel. That is why we celebrate with joy, because you helped us to open our door to the future when you came, but in the same time with some sadness, and we together can go to the world and say, please change your policies, change the system, because what we need is peace. This is very important. Without peace, no development, nothing else. Thank you.